As the Assistant Superintendent of Happy Valley School District, I was asked to staff the new middle school. Being the superintendent assistant, I am going to give an introduction and background of what I'm going to be doing. There are two K to 8 grade level schools. Johnson School is 70% minority. The building is old and decaying. The staff is evenly distributed and there are 30 members. Kennedy School building is aged but well maintained. This is going to be our new middle school. There is 2% minority and 30 staff members that are evenly distributed. The superintendent and board has decided to close Johnson School. So with this in mind, I have to take these two schools and evenly distribute the staff members between the new middle school and also between the 6 elementary schools, because these schools are going to be combining into a 6 to 8 grade level middle school, and the K to 5 students will be moved between the 6 elementary schools depending upon their area in which they live. Johnson School, the school in which we'll be closing, grades 6, 7, and 8 will move to Kennedy and combined with Kennedy 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. K to 5 at Johnson and Kennedy will move to the closest of 6 elementary schools in the area. This will depend upon where the student lives. The elementary schools are currently K to 6, so grade 6 from each elementary school will move to Kennedy, which is the new middle school. It will be housing 540 students. The 6 elementary schools are staffed by elementary school personnel. The high school will remain the same because it is one 9 to 12 grade level high school. Those 6 elementary schools will also take some of the Kennedy and Johnson teachers that were elementary school staff. After reading and reviewing the final scenario several times, I have found some issues regarding staffing and establishing the new middle school. Issue 1 is prior to implementing the plan, the school district must develop sections throughout the district that determines what elementary school each student will be assigned to. This will depend upon where they live, what neighborhood, and the different separations that will direct them to the school. Issue number 2. There are 70% minority and 30% majority, which will be mixed with a school and a school district which has 2% minority and 98% majority. This will create new and challenging environments for both the teachers and the students within the school. Issue number 3, major changes in the school district. One school will be closing, a new middle school with more students within each elementary school. So there will be a new middle school, and then also each elementary school will grow in size because they will be getting new students, which are coming from Johnson as well as Kennedy. Issue 4, potential loss of jobs and positions or new positions for the teachers and administrators. There will be a lot of new jobs and positions, and a lot of people will be moved, so they will have to learn these new rules. And the students will also have to learn to adjust. Issue number 5, students will face changes in their schools and or attend new schools. That kind of links with issue number 4. Issue number 6, possible placement grievances by employees, which I have came up with a plan to make sure that staff members feel comfortable as well as well trained prior to going into their new positions in new schools. While I was researching a way to handle this final scenario, I read 3 literature reviews. My first literature review just comes from chapter 5 in the book, which discusses placement and induction. On page 159, placement policies that are handled in the school district usually come from the superintendent who makes those policies and placements. So this just kind of assures me that this is my job, and I need to really look into the certifications, the education and experiences that my teachers and staff members have prior to placing them. Human resources, which I am also a member of, will make the employee feel comfortable, inspired, give them a sense of belonging, help the employee adjust to the work environment, and provide information about the school, community, and different students that the teacher will be teaching or other staff members will be supporting. This is very important because this would help avoid the grievances, especially if you can make a new employee feel welcomed, comfortable, and an understanding of their job and what it entails. So, Chapter 5 of my textbook discussed the duty of a superintendent. With this research, it helped me to be more confident in making my decisions in placements and staffing and establishing this new middle school. After reading this chapter again, I realized that the most important thing with staffing a school is meeting the needs of each school and staff member. This could be challenging, especially in this situation with the final scenario, because the administrator has to know what each member has, their experiences, their passions, what they actually want to do. And the administrator also must know who plans to stay within the district, who plans to leave, and make the right choices not only for the individuals but also for the district as a whole. My responsibilities as an assistant superintendent take on all of these responsibilities, as well as also part of human resources. I have to also make sure that my staff members are happy and know what they're doing and they're well trained, because if not, what good does that do the school if the teacher is not okay with being in the position that he or she is assigned? This was my first actual literature review. It was called New Teacher Staffing and Comprehensive Middle School Reform. It was done out of Philadelphia. One of the major problems that was found with teacher recruitment and placement was many teachers felt that they were not prepared for the new placement. Within my plan, I wanted to make sure that staff was trained and prepared prior to their new rule in the beginning of the school year. These staff members in this literature review found that these programs helped the staff members stay and maintain their positions and didn't make them want to leave. With training and mentoring system, there are other factors that can play a role in wanting a teacher to leave, like discipline, salary, supplies. But in this case, with this move, I feel that most of the teachers were prepared and wanted to be in their district. They just needed to know what to do in a new middle school, what to do in a new elementary school. They just needed to be prepared for their new positions. In the final scenario, I don't think that salary or supplies was much of an issue. Discipline can be when you're combining minority with the majority if teachers are not trained. There will still be discipline issues here and there, but this could be solved throughout the year as long as teachers are trained to deal with these issues and as long as all staff members are working as a team. I felt that this article was very helpful. The school district had many teachers moved into different middle schools similar to the final scenario in which I am staffing and planning. The teachers felt unprepared for the move and unsatisfied with their job positions. After having the staff development, many of these issues were resided. And after reading this, I feel that it is extremely important to add a staff development into my action plan. I want to make sure that my staff members, teachers, support staff, everyone is prepared and assisted with the transition. Preparing these people will help with the school transition and will also help the students feel more comfortable with the transition. So when I put together my plan of action or finish it, this literature review will absolutely be taken into consideration. It just made me realize how thankful the staff members were to feel more prepared for their new positions in the middle school and not going in with a blind eye. This literature review was a little bit more involved. It was education and certification qualifications of public middle school teachers. This one talked about non departmentalized versus departmentalized teachers. Something I realized when I do my plan, I wanted to make sure that I used my departmentalized teachers who were specifically certified in certain subject areas. For example, in the state of Ohio, middle school teachers often have two subject areas. For example, English and history, math and science. So you want to make sure that you have teachers in the middle school who are specific in their studies, who can truly help these students. Many of these studies showed that the middle school years are very important in student achievement, especially depending upon the teacher's qualifications, experiences, trainings, and overall knowledge of their subjects. It also depends upon the student learning and the behavior outcome. And it just overall stated that certifications of teachers and experience plays a major role in the middle school student achievement. Basically, what I found from education and certification qualifications of public middle school teachers is that their certification truly matters when it comes to placement. It plays an important role in not only student achievement, but also behavior control, discipline control, and other things of that nature. With the final scenario, the old schools had equal elementary teachers and equal secondary teachers. This is why it is very important for me to place them exactly where they belong, either in the middle school or elementary school. This study helped me clarify the final scenario and helped me actually start the plan of action. This helped me lay out where each teacher should belong, what certifications they have, and where exactly they would fit and be the most productive in the school system. I had an interview with Mr. Reeves. He is one of the principals at Harding Middle School. I asked him a series of questions, such as after reading the final scenario, if you were the superintendent in this position, where would you start and how would you begin to plan and assure that everyone keeps his or her job? So after we discussed this, we realized that most people should be able to keep their jobs because not only are new positions opening, but schools are merging and there will be a need for more support and more staff members. So he told me that he would start out by putting schools and putting the instructors assigned from the previous school year under each school. If a teacher wasn't planning on staying, he would move that teacher out. Then from there, he would physically close with that in front of his eyes. He would physically close the school, Johnson, and then begin to merge those other teachers into the other schools. With Kennedy, he would take out the elementary school teachers and place them in the various elementary schools throughout that area. They would be in the 6 elementary schools. The middle school teachers from Kennedy and Johnson would combine into the new Kennedy Middle School. The high school would be left alone because the high school is staffed the way that it is and it is working. We discussed if there would be a placement grievance. Unfortunately, with all of these moves, Mr. Reeves said that this could be something that would happen. Except we can make sure that we try to make our teachers comfortable using human resources as well as ourselves. He said that he would encourage them to set up an interview with their building administrators and or himself. With this, he can see what he can do to support these new members or where else they would feel comfortable within the district. With all of these moves, this could be, like he said, an issue, but he wants to make sure that his employees would feel comfortable and have an easy transition, which is why in each school he would have support staff members, and he would also be walking around and making sure that these things would be an easy transition. A lot of these moves wouldn't be easy for teachers, administrators, students, but it is important to him to make sure that the teachers feel comfortable, happy, and a new member of the work team. He would want them to come to him if there is an issue to see if it can be resolved before filing a grievance. This part just describes how he would distribute the staff members, which was kind of mentioned already previously. He would assign the 4 administrators in this middle school to different positions within the new middle school. The 4 administrators would be combined between Kennedy and Johnson, and they would be moved to Kennedy Middle School. One administrator would take the role as the quote-unquote head administrator, while the other 3 would still be head administrators. They would take on one grade level, such as 6th, 7th, or 8th. This would originally start as the first year and help with the transition. It would also take the load off of each principal by assigning them one specific area. The head principal, the actual head principal, which will not be assigned a grade level, would basically be based upon seniority. The 20 unlicensed staff members will be distributed. 14 will go to the middle school, used as support staff. 6 will be distributed into the elementary schools. As for the teachers, the secondary teachers within the district that were in the 2 K-8 schools will be moved to Kennedy Middle School. The other employees that were elementary school staff members will be distributed between the 6 elementary schools. They will also be given a choice, if possible, such as a first choice, primary choice, a secondary choice. And if I am able to do so, I would move them to their choice of school. If not, I would help them with the transition into the school that I had to place them in. Mr. Reeves agreed with this. Within the interview, we discussed possible concerns with parents, staff members, students, transportation, administration, and public relations and community. We felt that a lot of parents would become concerned with the Johnson students mixing with Kennedy students. This could bring on a negative or a positive change, but it is extremely important to have staff members familiar with diversity, minority, and these different challenges that come with this. Our staff members need to promote that this change is positive and that students will be safe at all times. Teachers who are unfamiliar with minority may need staff development, and transportation routes would definitely change, but it wouldn't be that difficult, we discussed, because we feel that with the different divided quadrants or regions, bus drivers would pick up those students for middle school and then go back to those same exact regions and bring those kids into the middle school. So buses would be assigned different regions that fit the 6 elementary schools and also take the kids to the middle school. We feel for public relations and community members, it is very crucial that we promote the positive things happening, these positive changes, all positive notes, invite them to be members of the school, invite them to see the good things that are going on. We understand that there's going to be chaos at first and a little bit of reorganization going on, but overall we feel that this is going to be very positive and we need to promote it as something that's positive. Okay, so after my interviews, my research, reading and reviewing the final scenario, I have came up with a plan of action. So my final plan of action is kind of similar to what Mr. Reeves and I talked about in our interview. Um, with that and referring to my three sources, my plan starts with the staff members. I will first be sending out an email to provide the staff members with knowledge that without a doubt we have to close Johnson School. Um, with that, I will just be informing them of the closing and let them know that there will be changes in positions and in school systems. I will explain that these changes may be challenging, but I'm going to do my best to accommodate and help them with this transition. Um, I also want to make sure that they know that I'm keeping as many jobs the same as possible, but it will be difficult to make this happen for everyone, being that one whole school is going to close and another school is going to be 6th to 8th grade instead of being the K to 8 that they were used to. I will take all of my staff members' files and certifications, and I will list their schools and set their names up underneath of the schools. I will then take out those who have specified that they will be leaving the school district. From there, I will take all elementary school certified teachers from Johnson and Kennedy, because Johnson will no longer be open and Kennedy will now be a 6 to 8 school. And I will take those staff members and assure that they keep their jobs by placing, first I should probably say the teachers, I will place them within the various elementary schools to help with the new and upcoming 5th grade that will be moving into the elementary schools, as well as take on positions with the growing amount of students that are coming from Kennedy and Johnson, and also the kids that come new to the school each year. Being that Kennedy is now a 6 to 8 school, the elementary schools teachers will be moved, like I said, to those elementary schools. We have some teachers with 5th and 6th grade endorsements who can teach at the 6th grade level, but we're going to try to place them in the elementary school unless we need more middle school teachers in the 6th grade level. The high school is going to be left alone. Within the elementary schools and middle schools, I'm going to place 14 of the non-professional union staff members into the middle school to help with discipline, to help with transition. These teachers or staff members to say will help with tutoring, will help with teaching, will help with discipline, will help with diversity. A lot of them are familiar with being at Kennedy School, are familiar with having the majority of the students being a minority group. One of each of the remaining, being there's 20 support staff members, 6 of them, one of each, will go to the elementary school and help with that type of same situation, the discipline, the behavior, the minority group, diversity, dealing with mixing all of those types of students together. They'll just ease out the transition, help with safety, and make sure that everything goes right the first year. So basically with the teachers going where their certification is, where their experience is, where they will be happy, but also where they will best fit the needs of the school. That is where they'll be placed. And also the students will be familiar with these teachers, will be familiar with the extra staff supporting the students, and they will feel safe and have help with someone dealing with transition. The parents may be concerned regarding changes of mixing these students, merging them together with different minorities. That is why I want to make sure that we have support staff in each of the buildings there for those types of issues that may occur, or for just easing them together. I definitely want to promote getting along, safety, the importance of working with one another and making this work, since this is all new. Parents may also want to be assured of safety and that the cultures in the school remain the same. My goal is to have parents and community support. With everyone's support, this will make the transition a lot easier for not only the students, but for the parents, for the teachers, for support staff members, everybody. to have the most support as possible. We want to make sure that they know that this isn't going to be an easy change, but we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that this change works and benefits everybody. The students may have struggle at first, not only because some of them will be in different rooms, in different buildings, but some of them will have different teachers, different friends, different classmates. This is another major reason why I want to make sure that we have support staff in every school to help with these transitions, as well as to help the students to make sure they don't fall because of these moves. Staff development and training. Before the school year even begins, I'm going to not only have a parent meeting to discuss some of the new things that are going to take place, but we're also going to have staff development and training. Human resources will be involved. They will be helping with the transition. They will be helping these staff members feel welcomed and prepared to take on these new positions or move them if needed if they are uncomfortable. The transportation will be much of the same, other than students will not be going to Johnson. The 6 elementary schools will have regions in which the students go to that school. So neighborhood A, B, C, and D will be assigned school 1, something along those lines, so that the buses can get students from there to the elementary schools, and those same areas will also use those same buses that the elementary school students use, and they will be taken to the middle school. That way the buses aren't driving all around. The buses are just assigned regions to the elementary school, regions to the middle school. So the 6 elementary schools will be assigned a certain region and bus, as mentioned before. Prior to 9 a.m., the elementary school students will be dropped off, and then the buses prior to this will go and drop off the students at 7:30 to the middle school, and then return back to that region to bring those kids to the elementary school of assignment. The administrators, elementary principals will remain the same. The middle schools, the 2 K-8 administrators, which are 4 in all with both schools, will combine as a team. And as mentioned before, 3 of them will take a grade level, and the one with the most seniority will take on the entire school as a whole. They will work under head principal contracts because it wouldn't be fair to take them away from the head principal and make them assistant principals in the school. So they're all going to be under a head principal contract, but the one with most seniority will take on the whole school, where the other ones will be assigned either grade 6, 7, or 8. This placement decision, ultimately I feel this is how year 1 is going to work, giving one principal just one set grade level, and then having one other principal completely oversee everything. With public relations in the community, it is important to just make sure that they are an active part of our school in many positive ways. We want to promote the positive activities, involvement, what's happening on social media. We want to make sure that people see that we are doing everything that we can to make sure that this school is a positive learning community with great teachers, great staff members, great students, great parent involvement, community involvement, and we also want to do positive things for the community. The time frame in which all of this will be done is between May and October. At the end of the school year, we are going to start discussing new placements, new plans, shutting down that school, and I'm going to have from May, June, July to tell my teachers, okay, here's what's happening. This building's closing. Here's where I think I'm going to move you. Does anybody have any issues with that? We're going to provide training. By October, I feel like all transitions will be in place. The goal is basically to make this transition easy and quick, but also to have the community, family, student, staff member support. So yeah, that's basically my plan. My plan came from chapter 5 in the book, my 2 additional literature reviews, my interview with Mr. Reeves, and after reviewing the final scenario several times, I think that it is very important to know the certifications of my teachers, as well as where they would feel comfortable teaching at, and definitely support staff such as paraprofessionals, extra resources, extra hands to be in those schools and help with transitions, and also keep the students safe, feeling secure, and catching them before they fall and building them up to make sure that they are where they need to be education-wise. Thank you.